Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
The marketing that entrepreneurs receive is a lot about hopes, a lot about imagine, a lot about expect that your business is going to do well in 7 years. Amazing. But what if?
Not everyone needs a financial advisor choosing investments for them. I really don't think that is necessary for everyone.
This is the Brown Way to Money podcast, where women of color in business find their financial independence. Welcome back, sis, to another episode. Today we're talking about something that is so important. Not because everybody's talking about it, but because it's how we got to leverage what we're doing now to surface in the future. And that, of course, is investing. And I have one of the best persons that I know to go through this journey with me. So welcome, Tess, today to today's episode.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Thank you. And again, if you're watching this on YouTube, listen, you can see I'm painting. I am trying to get my life together. We are moving houses. We are getting everything ready. So bear with me if you hear something that doesn't make sense. I promise you it's a good episode. So just let's go through this. Tess, let's talk about something that you and I have talked about a lot, but I'm getting the feeling is that investing is something that only applies for people that have traditional jobs. Because of course you have that safety of the paycheck and you can plan and, your cash flow is in a better position to start investing. So what about entrepreneurs? What about those side hustlers? How can we start doing that? And that's what I really want to dive in today. What is the first step?
So the first step, before you even start investing, before you even look into opening up accounts, the first thing I would do is get really clear on why you want to invest in the first place. And there's a few reasons that is really, really important and something that people skip all the time. The first reason is, honestly, your financial journey when you first start can feel overwhelming. There's a lot of financial jargon. It can feel like it's going to take a lot of time, but we all know subconsciously that learning how to invest is worth it, right? But it feels like this huge mountain to climb. And so to make sure you're in the right mindset to actually take the steps to make sure you set aside some of your money, learn how to put it in an account and learn how to invest, which I promise is easier than you've been led to believe. But to get your mind into a place of, I'm going to figure this out, you have to really be clear on your why this matters to you, right? And so when you really dig down deep and you think, why am I investing in the first place? For most of us, it's either so that we can retire comfortably someday. Sometimes it's for our family, it's safety and security. Sometimes it's entrepreneurship is hard and we know we don't want to do this forever and we might want to do something else. So maybe options, right? So when you get really clear on what's really important to you, you're much more able to prioritize this instead of it being about investing. This is about building wealth so you can live life on your terms. And so for me, one of the biggest reasons I started this journey was just because I wanted to have options. My mom was a single mom of 2 babies under 3. And as an adult, I remember thinking wow, that's such a scary situation. And I don't want to be in that. And so for me, that's actually what motivated me to learn how to invest. So before you get into the actual tactical investing, I think it's really important to, one, understand why it's important to you. And then you start to realize how powerful this activity can be and it becomes easier to prioritize.
Yes. And here is important to mention that you are already investing. So you already have that muscle because you're investing in your business. That's a form of investment, right? Taking money that otherwise you could have spent in something else, but redirecting it to your business. That's the muscle that you need to grow, right? But what about if we start thinking about taking the muscle into the stock market, into Forex, into a currencies market, right? So it's a different type of market that you're redirecting your money. And I super agree with you. The reason why I started investing when I was very, very young. I think my first paycheck, I invested half and I gave to my family the other half. Like I ended up without anything. Like I wanted to buy everything for everybody with my first paycheck. And I invested half of that. And the reason why I did that is because I saw my great grandpa that had to work until he was 90 years old. And I got it. I was like, I don't want to be doing that, not because it's right or wrong, it's because you should be able to enjoy life. And if there are tools that would allow you to do that, why not use it? And of course, I saw my grandpa and then my own story that when I was 6 years old, doctors told me, well, enjoy her because she's not going to live past that. And they told my parents that. So I understood that I may not have all the time in this life. So I strike the balance in between, yes, saving for the future, saving for my future self, but not enjoying my life now because what if we don't have it? Like that has been my whole thing. And the reason why I think so differently about money, I believe is that yes, I believe money will serve me now and it will serve me in the future, but I won't sacrifice what I want to do now for the future, and I won't sacrifice the future for what I want to have now. And that's so important in itself for investing. I just love how you describe it as well. That why is super, super important. And you guys know, I tell you this all the time. It's not only important for investing, it's for everything that you do in life. Like, why are you doing it, right? Why did you even start a business in the first place? That could be a place to start, right? Why did you start your business in the first place when it comes to finances and money?
That's a great way to put it. I think the two parallels that you drew there, one being you're already investing in your business, right? When you invest in a coach or a software, you're investing to build wealth in your business. And we need to do that for ourselves too. And then you're right, the parallel of like, why did you start your business? For a lot of people, it's probably to have control, to have freedom, to make an impact, right? And guess what? Building wealth in your personal life gives you all of those things too. Right. So I think that both that parallel is really important to call out.
And okay, so we are done. We are sold on the idea. We have to start investing, right? How can we actually start doing that? Considering that up to today, most of the cash flow that you have, you are reinvesting in your business.
Yeah. So the number one thing that you have to start before you do the accounts, before you figure out your investments, is to really understand how money comes in and out of your life, how money comes in and out of your business and your essential living expenses, right? There's sort of like two buckets we've got to figure out. And so until you have the information of what your business income and expenses is and what your personal income and expenses is, it's going to be really hard to invest effectively. Because at the end of the day, you can start investing with $1. And everyone should know that. You don't have to start with a lot. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs that start with $50 or €50 a month, right? And so you don't need a lot to get started. But ideally, the more you invest, the more you're going to be able to benefit from compound returns. And so in order to figure out what that number is that you can start investing and then hopefully build upon, we have to know what your cash flow is. Now, as an entrepreneur, that's obviously way more difficult than someone with a regular job. And it's very easy to use that as an excuse. Well, like my income fluctuates. And so unfortunately, I have a solution for you so you can't use this as an excuse anymore. But if your income is consistent, you can pick a round number to invest based on how much you have left over. And I also love what you said about also making sure that you're setting aside some to enjoy your life, right? So let's say you've set aside money for your essential expenses. You've set aside some money to enjoy your life and time with your family, whatever that looks like. And then there's a bucket for future you. And that bucket can either be a set number if your income is consistent, or it can be a percentage of how much you make. And so what a lot of the entrepreneurs that I do when they first start investing is they figure out what their profit was for the month and then take a percentage of that. And again, it can start small. If you're not in a place where you're making a lot of money, start with 5% of your profit, right? Something super small. It does not have to be big. And the nice thing about starting small and getting moving is that it's so much easier to increase how much you're investing if you're already doing it. The hardest part is like getting that momentum. You really want to make sure you figure out this cash flow piece first and not wait until you feel like you have enough money. Because if you wait to do that, you're going to, one, miss out on compound returns. But this is also about like habit creation, right? So we want to start this process as soon as possible.
I already hear somebody saying, yes, I know a percentage, but what about when I want to do something else? Like I wanted to invest in that other course so that I can do the next offer, or I wanted to invest in that coach. How do you get to prioritize investing beyond the you should do it or beyond the why?
Yeah, I think one, you can make these decisions, right? Like you can make the decision of where you're going to get more ROI. And one of the things that I think is really important to understand, though, is the value of compound interest and the level of effort. So when you buy something, let's say instead of investing 10% of your profit, you're going to put that back into your business. You can do that, but you better be really sure that the ROI is there. Like, I really think if you're going to, let's say you decide on 10% and this month you're like, I'm not going to do 10% because X, I want to know, what are you getting out of that 10%? What's the actual ROI in that? And is that going to give you more money to invest later? And then the second part of that we haven't really talked about yet, and I wish was like taught in schools over and over again, is understanding how powerful compound interest is. Because if you invest $50, $100, a couple $100 now, the value of that is going to increase exponentially by the time you retire. So it's really high ROI to invest right now. So spending some time with a compound interest calculator and just understanding how much you invest, even if it's small amounts, and what that can add up to over time because of investing is also going to help you make decisions so that it's not just, I want to do this thing right now. It's about what's the best ROI. And I think the other thing that we need to remember when it comes to investing is when you invest in a coach or a program, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the work. When you're investing in the market, if you set up your investments using a super simple strategy, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you don't have to trade any more of your time for money, right? You're creating a passive income stream for yourself. So I would say the ROI of investing, especially if you're an entrepreneur in your 30s, 40s, even early 50s, like the ROI of investing now in 10 years is going to be like hard to beat. So
Yeah.
I think really understanding how powerful compound interest is and also just being really honest with the ROI of what you're reinvesting is really critical.
And I agree with you. We should talk a lot more about compound interest, not only for the stock market and for finances, but is the habit that also compounds, right? That's what is mind-blowing to me, because you have a habit of reinvesting in your business. That has been a habit that you created when you started your entrepreneurial journey. Because if you can remember the first investments that you did with your business, it felt very uncomfortable and it felt like you wouldn't make that money back, even if you, right? So it felt like, wow. But now you're thinking, how am I, who am I going to hire next? What will be my next mentor, or what will be my next platform? That's compound habits right there. So we just need to get it to the investing side of it and the stock market. And the reason why I think this is so important is because as an entrepreneur, life goes quicker than anything else, right? You are in the game. You are trying to make it work. You're seeing your business every day, and I'm talking from my experience, right? Like, we are already in August, right? Like,
That's true.
I feel like I just sat down at the beginning of the year to say my goals for my business and to draw what I was going to do. It's August. So if I'm the whole time thinking I should be doing this instead of doing the thing, then there you go, my compound interest, right? So that, I think this conversation is so important for you to hear it, because it will break the pattern that you have formed until now. You have formed a pattern of consuming this type of education and then trying to reinvest it in your business and keep going on that wheel. And what we're telling you here is that there is another part of life when it comes to money that you should be paying attention to. And that's your personal life with your own wealth.
Yes. And I want to double tap on something that you just said is the habit of reinvesting in your business is great and necessary to an extent. And the amount of entrepreneurs I've met that get consumed by that. I think that word is good, like consumed by that habit. And also, there is so much marketing to entrepreneurs talking about reinvesting in your business and investing in a good coach and investing time and money to be in the right rooms. And so it's very easy to get targeted with that kind of messaging and feel like the only way that you can be successful in your business is if you're spending every dollar on $1,000, $20,000 masterminds. And those are huge investments. And so like before you do that, I want you to take that $10,000 and go grab a compound interest calculator and see what that would compound to over 20 or 30 years, right? Like before you make that decision, just because investing in your business is important and necessary, but we have to put guardrails around that too. And so I think part of this cash flow conversation that we're having could be you also putting guardrails around how much you are willing to reinvest into your business and how much you want to invest in your future and really sticking to those, because I do see that more and more. And again, as an entrepreneur, I'm always feeling like, oh, I got to buy this thing. I got to learn this thing. And you just get targeted with crazy amounts of ads for all these programs. And in reality, some of them are going to be helpful. Some of them are going to not be helpful. And then some of them you're going to buy and you're not even going to have time to do the thing anyway, but you feel like you should buy it. like the amount of times I've been like, oh, I got to buy this thing. And then I'm like, well, I'll get to that in 2028 when I have a second. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that like the guardrails around your business are really important. Yeah, I'm really glad we're talking about this because I don't think there's enough conversation about the marketing to entrepreneurs and how easy it is to get sucked into that cycle.
It's very good. It's a very good marketing and it's very good psychological triggers. That's
yes,
right. So of course you are eager to make it work. You're eager to, because again, that why are you starting your business? So you keep coming to that why and it keeps you motivated and it keeps you, but you gotta have understanding of your cash flow and what it is doing for you. Because at the end of the day, your business is an investment as well. So I just quickly, while you were talking, I did the calculator. I was like, I wonder really how much it is. So if you do 10,000 and you don't invest anything else on 7 years, which is the average that you will have to make, consistent income from your business. Let's say an average for small businesses in the US and the UK is 7 years. That 10,000 will become 14,000 if you do nothing else. If you put them aside and you do just go about your life. So these are the type of things that we need to think about when when reinvesting for your business. And I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying like Tess just said, what is the ROI, right? What is the return? How can you quantify it? And I think I talked about this on the episode before this one. I will link it on the show notes when we were talking about one of the biggest financial hacks or money hacks that you have as an entrepreneur is to actually understand where you are and not make decisions from expectations or hopes, which comes back to the customer marketing that we are receiving, right? The marketing that entrepreneurs receive is a lot about hopes, a lot about imagine, a lot about, expect that your business is going to do well in 7 years. Amazing. But what if, right? What if? Because yes, you're going to make it work. Perfect. But what if? What if you fell pregnant like I did, right? So how can you navigate that? Part of what really funded my maternity leave was my personal investments. Because as a business, I didn't plan for any employee, meaning me, going on maternity leave, right? That's something that I really understood after the situation. But the investment side of it was what I was investing as a person to fall pregnant. And that's something that now I think, oh, that's genius. I didn't really think about it, but I had my own for pregnancy since I was 15 years old. And that is like the value of understanding how to invest? Oh, Tess, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I just think it's such a good point. Like, we talk so much about the future, but as a business owner, it's even more important that you do this, because even if your business is successful, we like believe that, right? We're entrepreneurs. We're starting a business, and we believe in you, which is why we're talking to you right now. but like, even when it's very successful, when is a better word, even when it's very successful, things happen. And this happened to me earlier this year. I had a lot of health problems. I had a death in the family, and I was just simply not able to work the same amount of hours, and it affected my income. And that has nothing to do with the success of my business. That is truly just lifing. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another why. Like, when we go back to the whys, it's like, this is also about safety, security, and like backup plans, which you need because life is going to life.
Yeah. So, okay. We have the mindset, we have the habits. How do we get into starting? We have figured out as well the cash flow and the percentage. Let's say we are starting with a 5% investing of profit, which I dare to say that people should really take out of their revenue side rather than the profit, because I know that they get creative on the process.
It's true. Right? Yeah, I agree. That's a good one. That's a good call out.
But then, okay, so you're investing certain amounts, $100 per month. But where do you go next?
Sure. So the next thing you need to do is pick a brokerage, which is a place that you can open accounts and buy and sell investments. And so in the United States, Fidelity and Vanguard are probably the two most popular. And it's a place where you can open an investing account. And then once you've picked a place, and I would say, you want to look for big, reputable brokerages that have low fee funds. And you could even just Google something like that, like reputable brokerage with low fee funds. But in the US, with Fidelity or Vanguard, you can't really go wrong. I think eToro is pretty common.
Yeah,
what's the best on your side?
Interactive Brokers or eToro. There is also a Dutch one that is the Giro, but again, we are not giving you any advice. You should do your own research, and especially in Europe, because every country has a different relationship with these brokers. So if you go with Interactive Brokers in Germany, will be something different that it is in Holland, that it is in Spain. So just make sure that you understand that, but look for the low fees options, because if you go through your bank, which a lot of banks offers that same platform here, the fees are going to be way higher than these other brokers.
Correct. So that's the first step is pick a place, and don't spend this is a 10-minute decision. This is not weeks long of research. Just pick one and move forward. So that's the first step. The second step is you have to pick an account to invest in. And so this is where a lot of people can potentially go wrong, is we pick a container for our investments, something like in the US, a Roth IRA or an ISA, where depending on where you live, we pick a container for our investments, an account. And it could be an account that helps us prepare for retirement, or it could be an account that is just a regular old investing account. So once you have these accounts, you can connect your bank and transfer that $100 that you decided to invest into that account. The really important thing to know is that these accounts are just containers for your investments. They aren't an investment in and of themselves. And so what happens, especially with a lot of US clients and students that I've worked with, is they open a Roth IRA because a lot of people say you should invest in an IRA. And it's a little misleading, because a Roth IRA is a great container that can help you save on future taxes, but it's not an investment in and of itself. It's that container, right? So that's the first step, is to find the first two steps, find the brokerage and then open up an account. And you can open, if you're just getting started, just open up a regular investing account. Again, you don't have to overthink it. You can take it step by step and learn more as you go. So none of these steps should really be so much mental effort that you're spending hours and hours researching. So, you pick an account, and then we have to choose our investments after that. I don't know if you want to add anything on the account side.
Yes, I just want to, and we can go further on this because there is a lot of TikTok and Instagram, saying you should invest in this and that. I think for entrepreneurs, what is especially interest is accounts that allow you to maximize your taxes, because that's what really you are, especially if you're a solopreneur, that most of your income is not going to be, is going to be part of your personal income and is not going to be a company's. If you are in that small, in that field, I feel that we should talk a lot more about what it means for taxes than we do, right? Because this is what I don't see on Instagram. It's like, yes, but if that advice is picked by an entrepreneur that is having $30,000, $50,000 coming in and it's going to be taxable, is that really helpful? So how can we really understand the types of accounts that will be more helpful if you are an entrepreneur, or where should we look for answers?
Yeah. So you're totally right, because one of the things that all of us want to do is pay less in taxes. And
Right.
we'll spend hours and hours just combining all our deductions and, writing off that latte at Starbucks or whatever, when there are accounts, and I'll give you an example. There are accounts like a SEP IRA in the United States, SEP IRA, and that account allows you to contribute up to 25% of your adjusted income from your business and deduct that from your taxes, from your income that you owe, right? So for example, let's say you made $100,000 in your business profit. That's your net income. If that's you, that's amazing. Great job. But just for the sake of example, amazing work. But just for the sake of example, let's say you have $100,000 that you're going to be taxed on. Theoretically, you could take 25,000 of that, put that in a SEP IRA, and now the U.S. government is going to say, oh, thanks for doing that. We're only going to tax you on $75,000 now. It is a huge tax savings. So another reason why it's so important to invest and why rich people are so good at this is because rich people are always trying to pay less in taxes. So very successful entrepreneurs and super rich people are using all of these accounts to try to contribute as much as possible to reduce their taxes. And you can do it too. And you don't have to be, even if you make, $10,000 in profit off your side hustle or whatever, you can still contribute $2,500 up to $2,500 to one of these accounts if that is available to you. Right. So it's pretty extensive, and it's honestly, for entrepreneurs, it's at least in the United States. I'm not sure about other countries, but at least in the United States, you actually have a lot more room to save on taxes through these accounts than a regular W-2 employee. So it's one of the great benefits of being a business owner. And you're right, we just don't talk about it enough.
Right. What it comes down to is to understand that you have different options that will be available to you through investing as well. So it is not about, oh, I'm just going to put it on this account because I heard about this. No. What is the intention as well? What is your situation and what is the intention with those accounts? So you were talking about the Roth IRA and the IRA itself, right? So what are the most common containers that you pick and what do you do after that?
Yeah. So as an entrepreneur, most common containers, the three most common containers are going to be a Roth IRA, a SEP IRA, and a solo 401k. And I'll give you a very brief high level of each of these. Roth IRA is an account that doesn't help you save on taxes now, but the money that you put in grows tax-free. So if you put in, money every month, and then after a bunch of years that money has grown, you don't have to pay taxes on any of the growth. So that's pretty awesome. You can contribute up to $7,000 depending on your income. There's a limit where if you make over a certain amount, you can't contribute directly to a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA is a great place to start. It's not going to reduce your taxable income now, but it will help you grow your money tax-free, which is great. So that's usually the first step. If you're under that, right now it's about $161,000. If you make less than that, you can contribute to this Roth IRA. then the SEP IRA is sort of the next step, or some people just focus on the SEP IRA because if your goal is to reduce your taxable income, a Roth IRA isn't going to help you right now, but a SEP IRA will. So that's another very common account that entrepreneurs invest in. These accounts, this takes 15 minutes to open this account. Fidelity or Vanguard, you can even go to the search bar and put in SEP IRA and open it. It does not take a long time. And that account, like I said, is you can contribute up to 25% of your income. I think it's up to like $69,000 or $70,000. It's a lot. Like you can put away a lot of money. And then the last one per year. Yes, thank you. Yeah. And then the last one is solo 401k. And this is only available to you if you don't have employees. But what's cool about this is you can contribute as an employer, like as an employee of your company and as the employer of you. So that might sound really complicated, but I'll give you an example. So let's say you paid yourself a certain amount, you can contribute to this 401k as the employee, and then the business also made money. So you can contribute as a business as well. So the limits for contributing to a solo 401k are very high and very valuable depending on how much you're making in your business and can save you, again, thousands in taxes. So I would say one of the things that you should have if you're an entrepreneur that's making money in your business, or even before, like having a good accountant, it is a massive green flag if they are telling you about these accounts. If you have an accountant that's like never mentioned anything like this, I would be sure to ask them about it. And it is up to us to obviously get as much information as possible, but that is a huge tax savings. And so you want to be working with somebody that can help you strategize. And the nice thing is like, you don't have to figure this all out yourself. If you have a good CPA, you can say, hey, I want to contribute to an account that helps me save on taxes. Which one should I do? And they can talk you through it. They can tell you how much to contribute. I don't do any of that math myself. I can, but I don't feel like it. I'd rather hire someone else. So my accountant at the end of the year, he'll be like, hey, here's how much you can contribute to your solo 401k. And then I'll say, great, thanks. And I contribute throughout the year. And then at the end, if there's an opportunity for me to top it up, I will. But you don't need to do all of that alone. So I think it's really important to talk about the fact that having someone in your corner that's a good accountant can help you with this too.
And I think that's so valuable because, again, I don't do any of these either. I just talk to my CPA because you have a lot on your mind as well, right? You have a lot, and there is something about delegating these things that keeps you accountable as well. So you want to have that extra check gate on, I actually need to check in with my CPA on how we're doing and what do I perhaps need to do at the end of the month before, taxes and all of these things. So I like that you mentioned that. And the last step, I guess, is just automatic, right? Set an automatic payment, or how do you see it? Because I am the queen of automatic payments. Like if everything in my life could be automatic like Alexa, I would do it. But what is your take on it?
Yeah, I think that everyone should automate as much of your financial life as possible. And so now that we're moving into the okay, you've chosen your account, now you're putting money in the account and starting to invest it. Ideally, you have an automated amount of money going from your bank into this account and into a specific investment, which you can do. You can set up once, and every single month it will go into this account, invested in whatever fund you choose. And we can talk about a little bit about that in a moment. Even if you are an entrepreneur that is making inconsistent income, my strong suggestion would be to set up a contribution on the lower end of your average income. So if let's say you do the math and you're like, some months I have $500 to invest, but other months I might only have $200 to invest, I would set up an automated contribution for $200. And then at the end of the month, you can take, or quarterly, or however you want to do it, you can take a look. And if you had a better month, you can contribute more, right? There's no you can contribute at any time you want to these accounts. Right. So there's no perfect way you have to do it. But I will tell you, as a business owner and as an investing educator and a finance professional, I don't remember every single month to do that or things happen, but I have automated investments, and I have for the last decade, and it has changed my life because yes, of course, at the end of every month, this perfect picture of my life is that I sit down and I do all my QuickBooks and I reconcile them and I look at all my expenses and I cancel that subscription. But that's just not how life works. So So I strongly recommend that you set up an automation, and then however, whether it's once a month or even once a year, if you're somebody that just like has savings in your bank account, but then you top up in addition to that based on how your business is doing. But yeah, I'm a big automator. I am not somebody that's into like doing all this manually.
I can't. And again, just think about, just really think about the marketing. Let's go back to this because you're an entrepreneur, you understand, and you are in the game. Do you think that you will be able to keep up with your Netflix subscription if every time you had to go and subscribe every single month? You wouldn't, right? The magic of next to an investment, right? And there you go. I mean, I think this is so fascinating to me how when we break down the psychological side of money, we understand that from the marketing perspective, it makes sense. But hey, if you are thinking about compound interest and in your future, not so much. Why is that? Why not? It is possible and you can do that. So Tess, let me ask you, because of course you have a lot of exposure in social media. You hear a lot of people with everything about investing, right? What has been your most controversial position when it comes to investing that you see on this space that you don't agree or that you agree a lot with?
I think I have two. I'd say one, it depends on who you're talking to. Some people would say it's controversial at all. I don't think it's controversial, but some people might, is that not everyone needs a financial advisor choosing investments for them. I really don't think that is necessary for everyone. And that doesn't mean you have to choose them yourself, but there's so much technology that can help you choose a great low fee, simple portfolio for you using an algorithm and some of your information. And it's a fraction of the cost of a financial advisor that charges a % of your money. So I think that is my biggest hill to die on, is that I don't think anyone should be paying someone a % of their investments on an ongoing basis to manage their money, especially because most of the time, simple investing strategies that are like buy and holding simple low fee investments or working with a robo-advisor that chooses low-fee investments on your behalf outperforms people trying to beat the market. So that is like my hill to die on. I think if you're somebody that wants to invest and you're uncomfortable, either a flat fee advisor or investing in some knowledge and then choosing like a robo-advisor is a far, far superior option than paying anyone a % of your money. Because just like the compound returns we were talking about that are so powerful, the compound fees are equally as powerful because the money is coming out of your account. So you're paying this fee to this person. And even if I'm talking about 1%, like 1% is a high fee. And the reason it's a high fee is because that 1% comes out of your money and it's small. That doesn't feel like a lot. But now that 1% is also not being compounded. And so over 10, 20, 30 years, I've seen people realize that they've paid 6 figures in fees over a 20-year period and just be like mortified, not realize, because they think, oh, like 1% is, innocuous. That's not a lot. So I think that's like somewhat controversial, although a lot of amazing financial advisors that I know and trust are also very adamant that that is a broken model. And I know a lot of like wonderful flat fee advisors that are doing amazing work. So that is my hill to die on, I guess.
I completely agree with you. Robo-advisoring has made it so easy for us to understand. So I completely agree with you. This brings me to ask this question about Ellevest. So Ellevest started with the robo-advisoring, right? And now they have gone to sell that part to, I forgot the name. To
Betterment.
Betterment, right? And then they just stay with the high earnings, right? What do you think that happens if robo-advisoring is so good especially for women trying to invest? That's what has literally saved the path for many of us.
Well, this is controversial. I didn't expect this question, but I'm so glad you asked. So my take on what happened with Ellevest. So like the background here is this is a robo-advisor that taught women the basics of investing, that helped you create a portfolio without you having to learn. So it's a robo-advisor, right? You put in your information, your time until you're going to use the money, and they come up with a super great low fee portfolio. And I tried it and it was awesome. And I recommended it to folks to try all the time because I had tried it myself and I loved it. They also had at financial advisors working with high net worth individuals on a one-to-one basis. So those were the two different pieces of their business. And then they sell the robo-advisor part. I think they sold the robo-advisor part because they weren't making enough money off of that part of the business. And because working with high net individuals in the way that they were makes them a lot more money, especially if any of it is percent based, which I think it was. I don't know that for sure, but I think it was.
I don't know.
I don't think it was flat fee. I'm pretty sure they were
I
charging
don't
a
think
percent.
so. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the other
It wouldn't
reason
make sense.
No, it wouldn't make
No.
sense. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense. And so I believe they were owned by private equity. And if you are a private equity company that wants to make money and you have two
Right.
businesses and one is making it money and one is, that's it. And so unfortunately, the one that was making the money is the one that serves high net worth individuals. And I think the minimum to work with them was $500,000. So this situation, I think, was infuriating because they, from my perspective, started this whole business to educate women and make investing accessible. And they created this awesome software, in my opinion, that made it so easy and helped you choose investments without you having to really learn anything, and then abandon it because it didn't make enough money, because serving people under a certain amount of net worth wasn't making them enough money. And that sucks.
It does.
It really does. And I think there was so much Sally Krawcheck, she stepped down because she had some health issues. And I believe that's true. And she's a legend and she's done a lot of great things for women. And so I don't want to talk down on her, but it came around the time that this happened. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, like Sally's stepping down, so that's why this sale has happened. Like, no, that's not why it happened. It happened because of money, and it happened because Ellevest wanted to make a lot of money, and everyone that worked there when that sale happened made a lot of money. So it's a super unfortunate situation, I think.
And I think that just proves the point that we were talking just earlier. Going with these robot advisors are really low fee for you as a customer. Does it make a good business for them? Well, clearly it didn't. So that's why it was sold. But it was just like difficult because as a business perspective, you understand, right? But the mission and the reason why Ellevest started was because many of women investing are not high net worth women, right? Like it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And a lot of one of the saddest things I hear all the time is that people will approach a financial advisor and they'll say, well, I only work with people that have, over 250 net worth or over $500,000 or $1 million. And so then you internalize, oh, investing's not for me because I don't have enough money. And that's just so not true, because investing is how we make the money. And so that is something I hear all the time, that people feel like it's not for them because they've gotten that message directly from a professional. And that professional should be saying, so I can't take you on as my business, but here are some other great options. You should definitely move forward. But if you're not making them money, I don't know how many of them are going to take the time to really point you in the right direction.
And that is such a good point, Tess, because that literally blocks everything. Is the financial trauma that we talked about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody has rejected you to work with you. You don't have $1 million to put in an investment, but you do have 500 each month, 100 each month. And that feels rejected because of that creates a piece of trauma. So here we are telling you, this is not a you problem. There is nothing wrong with you. You are in the perfect position. Listen, when I started investing $10 per month. $10. That was everything that I could invest. But I knew that if I didn't set that $10 out, I would eat them and then I will forget. Like I would completely forget that I had to create this habit of putting aside money from whatever I was receiving towards investing. Whether you have $10, you have $100, you have $1,000, you are absolutely in the right place when you're thinking, I want to invest. And there are avenues that will allow you to do that. One of them, you have heard it for all these hours, is Tess. So Tess, tell us how everybody that is eager to learn more about investing can continue the path with you.
Thank you. So to be clear, my goal is to educate you, right? So I am not a financial advisor. I don't tell you specifically what investments to buy or what accounts to open. But what I do is educate you on how to get started, hold your hand while you're figuring out how much money to invest. We talk about the account options, and then I teach you different ways that you can learn how to invest or get started, whether that's with a robo-advisor or learning the basics of investing in funds that hold like hundreds of thousands of stocks at once. Like to DIY investing, by the way, you don't have to like pick stocks. You can pick funds that hold hundreds of thousands of stocks at once and just like hold on to them. It can be so simple. And so I love helping people through that process. And honestly, the best way, if you want to learn more about what I do, I'm on Instagram at Wealth with Tess. I post tons of free education on how to get started. But the best first step is to figure out what you have right now and how much you have to invest. And so I actually have a free training on that. If you go to wealthwithtess.com/FI, F as in Frank, I as in me, wealthwithtess.com/FI. And that will walk you through the process of starting to figure out how much money you have to invest and what that could compound to over time. So I think that's a totally free tool.
Show notes, no worries.
I got to come up with better names for that one. I as an iris. But yeah, so that is a free tool and people have loved that tool. It's super simple. It doesn't take a long time, but it's a great place to start. So if you want to learn more, I would highly suggest picking that up.
Okay, we do something on the show that the past guests will leave a question for the new guests without knowing who they are. So the first question says, I'm always curious to know for people, what is the one decision, big or small, that really changed the trajectory of either your career or your business?
The one decision for me was leaving my financial advisor in my mid-20s that I was paying a percent to and learning how to invest on my own. That is the single most important decision for probably my whole life because it allowed me to learn how to invest, learn how powerful it is, start investing, become passionate about personal finance enough to become an accredited financial counselor, and then build a business around that experience. So I think that's probably the one.
Wow. Of course. So on point. Okay. And because you got 2 questions from the last interviews, the other one is, this one is good. If tomorrow was your last day on earth, what exactly would you be doing and who would you be hanging out with?
Tomorrow, so it's August, so it's nice out. So I would call all of my closest friends and demand that they come hang out with me and we would barbecue. I'm pretty sure that's what I would do.
Demand. I love it. Like
I'd be like, y'all,
now
it's my last day. I'm making some steak tips and some like grilled tomatoes. We're going to barbecue.
Oh my goodness. Love this. This has been amazing. And as always, keep walking your brown way. Geez, I almost forgot. You have to know what I'm working on for Forbes or Business Insider before I let you go. So for Business Insider, I am looking for stories that relates to how you're investing your money for your kids. So if you're a mom investing on a 5-9 account, or you're putting aside for college, or you're doing all of these things, Business Insider wants to know your story and I'm your girl to pass it through. And for Forbes, I'm looking for business owners, women of color who are building their business to heal generational trauma, whether that's your relationship with your parents, they came as an immigrant, whatever it is, that generational trauma, that's the story we are working on Forbes. And this has been amazing. And as always, keep walking your brown way. Thank you so much, everybody, and I'll see you in the next episode. Okay, did you hear something that you liked in today's episode? If so, don't keep it to yourself. Go ahead right now. Yes, right now, before this episode ends, and send this episode to those 3 friends, 3 girlfriends that you know you can go to talk about finance, independence, money, business growth, entrepreneur life, and all of these juicy topics. Share this episode with them, because that is the only way we can grow together. I'm Alejandra Rojas, your host, and I will see you next week.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.